what psycholinguistic is? Hello, my name is Genesis Machado and I will give you some definitions of this term. But I think that the word itself gives us a clue, right? Okay, so psycholinguistic is the study of the mental aspects or mechanism of language and speech. It is concerned with the ways in which language is represented and processed in our brains. So this is a scientific discipline whose goal is to study the factors that enable us as human beings, the acquisition, the use, and the understanding of language. But what is the difference between these three terms? And according to Cambridge Dictionary, acquisition is to get something, as simple as that. Use is to put something such as a tool or a skill, because we cannot acquire skills, we cannot acquire abilities. This is a very important point, to a particular purpose. And understanding is to know the meaning of something that someone says. And now that we know these differences, I can give you some interesting facts about psycholinguistics. And the first one is that this term was introduced by the American psychologist Jacob Robert Cantor in 1936 with his work An Objective Psychology of Grammar. 10 years later, in 1946, this word was popularized by one of Cantor's students with his work Language and Psycholinguistics. A review. Finally, the word psycholinguistic comes from the Greek word mind and the Latin word tone. So during this presentation, we are going to explain you the major aspects of psycholinguistics. We hope you enjoy it.
My name is Adriana Centeno and I'm going to tell you a little bit about language comprehension. Is it as simple as we think it is? I don't think so. Although language comprehension seems to be a natural process for speakers, listeners, and readers, there has been a lot of research on the stages our thought goes through before we are able to elaborate an interpretation of an intended message. People make use of words based on two very important things. The first one is the communicative situation, and the second one is the specific intention of a message. So in order to comprehend its meaning, recipients of oral and written speech must be able to differentiate between the nuances these words convey and the discourse environment within which they are used. Also, before we even think about the concept of meaning, we need to take into account two essential terms. One is the denotation of a word that refers to the definition of that word as it appears in a dictionary, and two, the connotation of a word that refers to the associations people make based on cultural, specific, or personal factors. So now, let's talk about how we comprehend word combinations. It is suggested that our interpretation of words rely on a number of linguistic and extra-linguistic factors. For instance, according to Hartley, people show a preferable reliance on stereotypical knowledge in order to understand the meaning of word combinations. That is, they tend to resort to the association between the entities of a certain message, and only when this does not lead to a meaningful interpretation do they bring into play the other linguistic factors.
I am Corindra Pino and I'm going to talk about the language productions. It describes all the stages of a speech from the initial mental concept to the spoken or written linguistic result. In short, it is the process of communication through language. We have 4 stages of speech productions. These stages are the processes by which humans produce speech, and these are not consecutive like normal scientific stages. Instead, they are simply classified as such. First, conceptualization. According to Spencer Kaufman, this is when a speaker spontaneously thinks of what he or she is going to say. Second, formulation. This is when the speaker thinks of the particular words that are going to express their thought. The third one, articulation. This is when the speaker physically says what he or she has thought of saying. At least we have self-monitoring. This is when the speaker reflects on what he or she has said and makes an effort to correct any errors in the speech.
Hello, my name is Fabiana Marquez, and today I'm going to explain to you how psycholinguistic studies the difference between acquiring and learning a language, taking into account that psycholinguistic focuses mainly in the relation between the human mind and the language. First, psycholinguistic analyzes the EFLA, which is first language acquisition. It also can be our mother or our native tongue. When babies are born, they start to acquire unconsciously a language, and they pass through four main stages. Okay, one, the pre-linguistic stage, they only produce meaningless sounds. Two, one word stage, they start to learn how sounds are related to meaning. Three, the two-word stage, the children start to produce more elaborated phrases using words like mommy or daddy. And the fourth stage, which is telegraph speech, during this stage, children create, or no, not create, but make sentence or phrases that usually include the main word that is relevant to meaning. If they need to be fit, they will say something like mommy milk or mommy juice or daddy car, etc. On the other hand, psycholinguistics also analyzes the SLA, which is second language acquisition. They are all those methods that we can use to learn a language, usually in an academic or a formal environment. There are a lot of methods developed through history. Some of them are grammar translation, audiolingual, direct method, Suggestopedia, and community language learning. So, the key here for understanding those different is learning conscious and acquiring unconscious. Thank you.